Good evening, everyone. It's dark, but it's time. Tonight we're playing Book 5 of the Golden Dragon series. This is book the 5-1. We're going back now with Oliver Johnson. So, the adventure tonight will have less features than the previous one, sadly. But here we go. Let's start with a little resume. Yep, let's check the rules for the game tonight. First thing that you will see, we're dropping the spell casting. So, well, because we're back with Oliver Johnson, I guess he dropped the spell casting introduced by his colleague. The treasure is back. Not sure if it will see a better playtime or it will be more useful than the previous books. I doubt so. And we have different items as well, but the stats are the same as before: Vigor, Agility, and PSI. I kept the same one as the previous books for the sake of continuity, even if there's none in the Golden Dragon series. Otherwise, combat is the same as before. We're rolling 2d6, and usually higher is better, except when there's a kind of skill check, which usually lower and equal is better than higher. Otherwise, everything else is pretty much the same. Let's go then with the background. A shorter one tonight. 2 pages and a half long. Sweat trickles down your brow into your eyes, blinding you. The heat of the sun has bleached all color from the land. All is a dazzling white. The horizon is a watery mirage, where men and camels appear to walk not on sand, but in mid-air. In front of you, minarets and towers, palm fronds and low buildings seem to hover in the dust-choked sky. The sun beats down on your head, seeming to boil your brains, and the metal of your sword burns with an intense white heat from where it hangs at your belt. 200 miles you have traveled across the burning deserts of the land of Chem, following the caravan trains of the nomadic hawkers and merchants. In your belt a small slab of carved granite. It seems to have been half of a larger stone tablet, judging by the rough edge down one of its sides. On it are the royal arms of a long-dead Pharaoh of this ancient land, Karput. Karput? See, it sounds like Kraput, but anyway. Karput the Mighty. His tomb has been buried by the drifting desert sands for hundreds of years. This slab of stone, you hope, could be the first clue in finding it. The man who sold it to you told you it had been discovered near the city of Arkos, and told you the name of the dealer who he bought it off, one Gebad, a merchant of antiquities. Many others have tried to find the tomb of this lost pharaoh, for mighty treasures were buried with him. But not only did they fail, they also all perished. Not one of them has been seen again, striding back across the desert to the city of Arkos. Finally, after miles of trudging during which the buildings you are approaching seem to recede from you, you wearily pass through the monolithic carved gates of the city. You are immediately surrounded by a crowd of excited children and beggars. Some wear ragged cloaks, others are naked, save flimsy loincloths. They cry out, offering to take you to a good inn. You feel urgent hands tugging at your tunic. You brush past them, your eyes fixed upon the name carved over the entrance of a particularly shabby-looking inn, just inside the city gate. The crowd fall back from you as you approach it. One of them calls out to you.
Master, do not enter. That inn is accursed. There are many better ones in the city.
Ignoring their cries, you enter the darkness of the Inn of the Coiled Serpent, eager to slake your thirst. Your eyes gradually grow accustomed to the darkness. The inn has a dirt floor and crude wooden tables and benches. Flies buzz in swarms around the earthenware, pitchers and stale loaves behind the counter. A small, wizened old man with a fawning smile sidles out from behind a bar. You order some of the cool local beer and some food and sit down, with it at one end of the rough tables. The only other customer sits in a shadowy corner, his features obscured by one of the all-enveloping white cloaks of the desert nomads. After a while, the innkeeper returns to remove your dish. You ask him where the shop of Gebad the antiquarian dealer is. He pulls at a hair growing from one of his warts and looks at the ceiling, creasing the features of his face. Let me see now, let me see, he says. The memory of an old man isn't what it used to be. You toss a gold piece onto the table. Cross it off your character sheet. There we go, the treasure is going down. And he snatches it up greedily. I've remembered now. His shop lies just off the bazaar, but hurry for night is fallen. And to be around the bazaar after nightfall is to be wary of one's life. You quickly hand over the few coins to pay for the meal and step out into the evening air. Ahead of you, you fancy you see the white-cloaked figure of the man in the inn, slip through the gates of the city apparently in a great hurry. You turn to your right and join the swearing mass of humanity crammed into the narrow streets of Arkos. Soon you reach the edge of the bazaar area. Your adventure begins here. As for the Umbrew rules for tonight, they're the same as before as well. If we die, we're going to go back to our previous choice, take another one. If we die again, we go back again, take a different choice, etc. Until we find the correct path. If we die in combat, we're going to take the flee option if there's one. If there's none, we're going to go back previous choice and take a different one. If there's none again, we're simply going to go through the combat as if we won and nothing happened. Same thing for the skill checks that send us to our doom. They will be succeeded on the spot if there's no backtracking options available. And that's pretty much it, so as to not be playing this book tomorrow evening or tomorrow morning or in the multiple different hours, because we're dying lots of times during this book. We'll see how it goes, but the previous ones we're in the kind of the easiest one so far. Well, I'm missing a bit Lone Wolf, but anyway. For the items that we have, starter items as well, we have a sword, a halstone tablet, and a torch. But if it's like last week, those will be the only items that we'll find. Let's see how it goes. Anyway, so section 1 of book 5 of the Golden Dragon series. I've spoiled it earlier for a few seconds. Curse of the Pharaoh. The last merchants are packing up their stalls as you enter the large open area of the bazaar. The remaining customers barge unceremoniously past you as you stand at the head of the alley, undecided what to do. The merchants seem too busy in their haste to answer your inquiries. The sky blushes a deep crimson as twilight settles. The only sounds are the excited shouts of a group of ragged children rushing around one corner of the square in wild circles. In the distance, a few country folk linger, gawping at the antics of a fire heater who blows great gouts of flame into the darkening sky, throwing the spectators' faces into sudden relief. In another corner of the square, a group of rough-looking men with scimitars in the belts of their robes lean against the wall of a small hut with a sign "Gambling" outside the door. Immediately in front of you is a tavern where lanterns have already been lit. The lively music of the native drums and flutes echoes out into the square, and you hear shouting and clapping from within. There is one stall left open. You can see a turbaned trader sitting in the shadows at the back of it smoking a long pipe. Unlike the other traders, he doesn't seem to be in a hurry to get out of the bazaar despite the coming darkness. You can dimly make out a number of items laid out on a carpet in front of him. You stroll up to the stall and see a sign hanging from one of the supports of its awning. Hamid's Emporium. There is a flash of white teeth as the trader smiles in the blackness of the stall. Greetings, warrior from the north. Tonight I have a choice selection of articles. Ignoring the cheap trinkets laid out on the carpet in front of him, he brings out a mouldered old carpet, much frayed at the edges. He unravels it, revealing an assortment of articles. All these are excellent bargains, noble sir. This pair of gloves are strong enough to keep you safe from the bites of snakes, a mere 5 gold pieces, and its potion of levitation will enable you to drift through the air at the height of 1 meter above the ground. Again, a bargain at 5 gold pieces. His water bottle always has at least 1 gulp of water in it. He pours water in at the top of the bottle, but the water quickly dribbles out of the bottom as if it was riddled with holes. After this flow has stopped, he triumphantly reverses the bottle and a small amount of water pours out of its spout. See, he exclaims, a wondrous device, and a mere 5 gold pieces. And here I have 2 potions of swiftness. These will enable you to escape a deadly foe, for only 2 gold pieces each. Finally, a bargain that even you cannot refuse, a genuine flying carpet. Admittedly, it has only 1 hour's flying time left in it, but I am selling it at the bargain price of 5 gold pieces. If you would like to buy any or all of these articles, you may hand over money and add the articles to the items listed on your character sheet. Then you turn to look at the other things in the bazaar. If you run to risk some gambling to improve your funds. Otherwise, do you want to go over and speak to the group of children playing in the corner of the square? Join the group of people staring at a fire eater, or cross the square and investigate the inn. Alright, so far we have 5, 10, 20, 24, 29. Huh, yeah, right. Just exactly 29 gold pieces for the whole shebang. There's a pair of gloves, potion of levitation, and kind of unending water bottle. Sounds more like a gourd. 2 potions of swiftness, and a flying carpet for 1 hour time. They look like a bunch of shady objects, but you don't know if they are going to be useful. Some of them, even if they're shady, if they work. Levitation for 1 meter above the ground. Well, you can drift through the air with the levitation, so maybe you can go over a hole or a chasm, something like that. The gloves, meh, but if we run into some snakes, could be useful. The unending water gourd. We have already a flask of water, but we're going into the desert. Oh yeah, unending water supply can be quite useful as well. 2 potions of swiftness, if they work, could be useful. And the flying carpet, just like the potion of levitation, same usefulness. I wonder if we go gambling, if we can go back later. I'll put a pin to that buying activity and just check if we can go gamble. The man lounging by the door of the gambling den eye you critically as you walk up to the door, but he soon look away when your hand strays toward the hilt of your sword. You whip away the beads covering the door and stride down some steps into a smoke-filled room. Sit down at a table with some unshaven men. They're drinking heavily and seem to be argumentative. The dealer looks at you through his one eye, the other is covered by a patch, and tells you you must pay 2 gold pieces to join the game. We're gambling a potion of swiftness, actually. Let's see how it goes. The dealer passes out the ivory chips used in the local gambling game. Excitement mounts as each player throws one of the chips onto the central table. Roll 2 dice. It's 2d6 as well, like it's like a combat. Higher the better, I guess. 5. Use your bet of 2 gold pieces. You must place another 2 gold pieces on the table if you wish to continue. Sure. Let's gamble another potion of swiftness. 5 again. Alright. Let's gamble another potion of swiftness that we don't have. 9. It's better. You win 4 gold pieces, twice your original stake. That means we lost 4, we gambled 2, so we're 2 down. Right now. No. We lost. That's not a good roll. Stop rolling. We lost 2. We lost 2. We bet 2. And 1, 4. Yeah, that's right. We're 2 down. Unless it's your stake. It's not clear if we... Yeah, I think they mean that we win 4 gold pieces on top of our bet. Otherwise, it will be kind of stupid winning simply our bet. Yeah, so we're back even. That's what it means. Let's try it out again. 12. Oh, 12 is the jackpot and gold pieces. Is it worth it to continue? We won't roll another 12 right off the bat. And we have an equal risk of being accused of cheating. I think we should leave with our prize. So we leave with our winnings. Leave the tavern in a hushed and sinister silence. You feel that at any moment a knife will be flung at your back or someone will call after you. You may get out into the street, however. Do you now want to go talk to the children playing in the corner of the square, or go join the crowd looking at a fire eater? Actually, I want to go back to the cellar of crap and buy all this crap. Let's go. Children, I guess. I just want to have the option to go back to the bazaar. Buy the crap. Okay, the options here just to go back. Fire eater, gambling den. We just came back from the gambling den. The inn, we just came back from the inn as well. That's so crap. Okay, here that was the paragraph with the dealer. So we're stuck to buy the stuff before. Not what the book gave the impression that we could go back to the seller before. I think I'm going to house rule that shit as well. It really gave the impression that we could go back the merchant. So let's go down 29, buy all the crap. There were gloves. Potion of levitation. Water bottle. Potion of swiftness, 2 of them. And flying carpet, 1 hour. I got the wrong one here. There we go. Alright. There was a sword as well. Here. Sword, come back. Okay, good. We're good to go. We went to the gambling den to 15. Then we gambled. And we won. Okay, we're back on track. So, children or fire eater. I went to the children first, so let's continue with that. Even as the fire eater sounds more interesting. You approach the children, who stop running around as you draw near, stare at you silently when you ask them if they know where the house of Gabad, the dealer in antiquities, is. There is a silent pause, and then one of the smallest children pushes to the front of the group. Although the other children are dressed in rags, this one is wearing quite a new cloak. He grins at you, whether in mischievousness or friendliness you cannot tell, and offers to take you to Gabad. If you like to go with the boy, or on the other hand, you may reject his offer and go over to join the group of people by the fire eater, or go to the gambling den or the inn. In the previous book, we couldn't trust anyone. They were all backstabbers, so beep beep the children. Fire eater. This is the time. You reach down and pull the papyrus wrap. Doesn't sound like the correct section. Have they messed up the numbers in the sections again? It speaks of crocodiles and not fire eater. Damn it. There's a bug in that book as well. Seriously. Just at the beginning, it's crazy. Alright, I'll check quickly over the internet if someone reports that. Ah, can't find it. Yep, can't find it. So I guess we won't see the fire eater. Damn it. Seriously, they went to print with that error inside. Okay, then gambling den we've done that already, so the only option that we have is the inn. Try with this, and if I ever see a section about a fire eater not too far down the road, maybe we can go there. Alright. You walk up to the entrance of the inn and push aside the bead hangings that cover the doorway. Find a seat. Sounds really like the other inn that we went into. What the? Find a seat in the shadows and watch the buzzy activity of the inn. After a while, a tribesman wearing a white desert cloak sits down next to you. He looks at you and asks, in a thickly accented voice, if you are looking for a guide to take you to the Lost Quarter. You remain silent, and he leans closer toward you. Perhaps you are looking for the lost tomb of Pharaoh the Mighty. He whispers, offers you to lead you to the tomb for a fee of 2 gold pieces. You have this amount and want to go with him. You haven't got the money or prefer not to go with him. Nobody can be trusted in those books, so beep beep the guy with the white desert cloak. The tribesman slopes off sulkily and you see him muttering in an angry fashion to some ruffians by the bar. You glare over in your direction, and you feel that it might be advisable to leave the inn as soon as possible. Step back into the square and look around. You decide that you will have to leave the area in case the tribesman and his friends are after your blood. You go over to the group of young children playing in the square to ask them for directions. So we're stuck going with the boy. And we're going around in circles, because I can go back to the inn, and the same guy as before will talk to me and ask me if I want to pay 2 gold pieces. How can I be stuck in a loop? That's so badly written. Oh, it's crazy. I guess I go with the young boy. At least it's free. I'm not sure if it's even more bad than book number 2 where paragraphs were missing. Boy leads you off through some winding streets and up a steep flight of steps. You're just about to ask the boy whether he is sure where he is going when 2 black-robed figures wearing dark hoods leap out of a doorway and rush down the steps towards you. They whirl double-handed scimitars above their heads with Is it a fight? Sounds like a fight. You whip out your sword, preparing to take on both of them, but to your amazement the small boy sticks out a foot as one of them closes with you and the man trips and goes flying past you down the stairs. You hear a series of sickening bumps and the clatter of his sword as he tumbles down the near perpendicular steps behind you. You are left with only one opponent now. I guess the little boy is trustful. Kind of. So first fight of the night, but with all the bugs, and I didn't want to go this route, so I feel kind of skipping over the fight. It's a pretty regular fight. Enemy Vigor 9. We need to roll 7 or more. So let's just skip that. The body of your opponent rolls down the steps to join that of his companion. You can see even in the gathering gloom that they both remain utterly motionless. You turn around and see the boy grinning at you, and you thank him for his help. The houses on either side of you are eerily quiet now, and you decide to press on as quickly as possible. The boy leads you to the top of the street and slips through the wooden door of an inconspicuous-looking house. You follow and find yourself in pitch darkness. The boy leaves you for a moment, and you hear whispering from another room. Then you hear the sound of returning footsteps. Suddenly a light is struck, and you find yourself staring into the tired whole eyes of a white-haired man.
I am Gabad,
He says.
my nephew.
He indicates the boy.
Tells me that you want to find me. Well, here I am. Speak your mind.
You feel that you can trust the old man. Yeah, right. So you pull out the stone fragment from the pocket of your tunic. The stone was apparently found by you somewhere in the desert. I believe that you must have discovered it somewhere near the location of the lost tomb of the Pharaoh, Kharfoud the Mighty. You hold the stone up for the old man to look at. He surveys the true roomy eyes and nods his head slowly.
I remember the stone. I sold it to a nomadic trader then, or maybe 12 years ago. I suspected even then that it might have magical powers, that it was accursed. My apprentice died on the trip that discovered it, and not long after my wife was butchered by assassins in the street. After that my shop was constantly broken into and ransacked. I decided to get rid of the stone as soon as possible. Sure enough, my sorrows soon ended. Now you have brought it back to me, and by doing so have brought back all my better memories.
There is a silence as the old man casts back in his mind, reliving the past.
It was curious how my apprentice acted. May he rest in peace, and I found the stone. We had been looking for antiquities near the great necropolis in the desert for over a week without success. We decided to move further to the west, into the emptiness of the Lost Quarter, where not even the nomads go. We wandered about in the area for a day or so. Suddenly, we spotted a figurehead lying in the sand. How that man had crawled anywhere, I will never know. Every hour, every bone in his body seemed to have been fractured, but he was still alive. Muttered in his delirium of how he had dared to risk the lost Pharaoh's curse. Yet he had failed because he lacked the other half of this stone. He died soon afterwards. My apprentice and I, our greed excited by the rich rewards we knew awaited anyone who discovered the tomb, followed the man blood-stained trail through the sand for a mile. We saw a large hill in the distance, but then, out of nowhere, a sandstorm engulfed us. I never saw Acton again. The storm kept up for 2 days and nights. All dead through thirst, I eventually stumbled back into the town, stupidly blabbing out my story. Evil men heard it, I am sure, hence my miserable existence for the month that followed. Eventually, in my despair, I sold the stone to a passing merchant. I hadn't thought of the accursed thing for years.
Gabad looks at you.
I am old now,
He says.
and I've nothing to live for. My brother, this boy's father, will look after the shop. I will come with you through the desert tomorrow and act as your guide. If I do so, maybe I will at last lay to rest the ghost of my poor wife and the unfortunate Acton. Who knows? We must act fast though. Rival groups in the town have probably heard of your arrival. Believe me, they will stop at nothing to obtain this stone.
You tell him of your recent narrow escape, and he looks at you darkly, shaking his head. He gives you a meal of fruits and wine, and then shows you to a sleeping pallet laid on the floor. Sorry, forgot to remove the color bars. We're back with our beautiful character sheet. The next morning, you're woken early by the old man. He is dressed in a desert cloak and has a water flagon strapped to his belt. He hands you a similar cloak and flagon. Note these down on your character sheet. Yeah, more things to carry water. A desert cloak and water flagon. The water may be especially important to you in the desert. The merchant hands over the keys to his shop to his young nephew, and you step outside. A washerwoman is coming towards you down the narrow alley. Otherwise, it is deserted. Suddenly, the washerwoman whips out a dagger, and you see that she is actually a man in disguise. You barely have time to lift your sword in defense before the assassin is upon you. You cannot flee. Okay, so we're going to fight a bunch of assassins at every corner, it seems. We have another one, Vigor 9, and let's do this fight. It's a bit easier than the previous one. 8, that's a hit. We need 3 hit. 4, that's a hit against us. 8, again hit. And the third one, the assassin is dead. We lost only 3 vigor points. Gavan kneels beside a corpse and rolls back the man's cloak over his forearm. You see a coiled serpent tattooed on it. Sounds like the assassins in Lone Wolf book number 2. Gavan looks up at you, his face creased with worry.
It looks like the assassins are already after you. We must hurry to find the tomb before they do.
You set out for the desert and soon you hear tiny dots moving over the huge undulating surface of sand. You travel for 2 days, eventually arriving at the end of a rocky gorge. You can see a pile of human bones in the middle of the pass. Your water is getting low, and you will need to replenish it soon. You can see what looks like an oasis over to your left, a pool of blue surrounded by some date palms. You want to go over to the oasis, if you want to carry on through the pass, or if you have one and would like to use it now, you may use your flying carpet here. It's quite early to use our flying carpet. What's crazy is we have the unending water bottle thingy. I don't see why we want to get water at the oasis. Maybe for the old guy. I guess I'm going to carry through the pass, and if they kill us of thirst, that's just crazy. You notice that there are a number of human skeletons lying in the rocky gorge. You set off cautiously down it. Suddenly you hear a low animal growl, and there is a blur of movement ahead of you. You see 2 swiftly moving jaguars, heading towards you over the rocks. Have you a potion of swiftness? If you haven't, you will have to fight. Yes, I do, but the old man doesn't. Unless we give him the other one. That's why we had 2 potions of swiftness. Everything is predestined. Ah, they ask us for how many potions. How many potions of swiftness do you have? If you have 2, you give 1 to Gabad. There we go. We are saving Gabad. You both drink the potions and start to run. You easily outstrip the jaguars and are pleased to see Gabad still at your side. You run for a couple of miles and eventually find yourself at the end of a long avenue of sphinxes. You can see a small pyramid in the distance with a larger hill standing behind it. You pass down the avenue and see a small building in front of the first pyramid. Suddenly, Gebet stumbles against you and falls to the ground. Deed has taken its toll on the old man and he has died. Seriously? That's so crazy! The old man just died there. Bah! So bad. They killed the old man. Oh. Is it because we didn't made a stop to the oasis? I just want to go back to see if it matters or not. Ah. Potion of swiftness. Oasis. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Gebet says that the water might be full of magical evil sprites and monsters. But I don't need the water anyway. Yeah, there's some kind of ectoplasm shit that is jumping at us. Yeah, right. So, in all the different scenarios, Gabad was going to die at the front of the pyramid. That's so stupid. Alright. Go back where we were. Suddenly, Gabad stumbles against you and falls to the ground. Deed has taken its toll on the old man and he has died of exhaustion. Sadly, you bury him. But no, you must continue with your task before you meet the same fate. You enter the building through a low door. Yeah, sorry but not sorry, Gebad. You did your job, I guess. Oh man, they don't want us to have any allies. You're in a circular room. It is illuminated by a single beam of light descending from a small hole set into a domed ceiling. At the center of the room is a plinth, with a stone statue representing one of the ancient pharaohs standing on it. A single gem has been set into the place, where its eyes ought to be. There are a number of stylized representations of the gods of Kem painted on the walls. A number of skeletons lie around the floor. They are clad in armor and clutch weapons in their bony hands. They have been riddled by arrows. Do you want to look for a secret exit from this room? Or do you want to wait for a few minutes and see what happens when the beam of light hits the statue at midday? Some strange options. And statue with a bow. It says only that it represents ancient pharaohs. Yeah, I'm not sure I trust the beam of light and the kind of weird thing that we see only in Indiana Jones. And it always turned bad. You start to fumble around the walls, looking for a secret catch. Suddenly, you press a secret panel and a spring is released, sending a hail of arrows thudding into your back. You black out, never to reawaken. Your adventure ends here. Yep. Go left, die. Go right, don't die. Simple as that. So, let's go back and take the other option. So stupid. You wait in the stifling heat. No sound breaks the utter silence of the desert. Suddenly there is a blinding flash of light as the sun strikes the gem set into the statue's forehead. shielding your eyes from the intense glare. You see a panel slide up in the wall, and you step through it quickly. You find yourself in a granite vaulted chamber. A corridor leads off to the north into the darkness. You light a torch and set off up it. Pass down the corridor, grateful for the light shed by your torch. The air in the underground passageway is close and musty, as if it hadn't been disturbed for 1,000 years. Eventually you realize that the corridor must be leading you right under the hill at the back of the large pyramid. The hill is, in fact, a gigantic pyramid, that of the lost pharaoh Kharfut the Mighty. The corridor begins to sport crumbling tapestries on its walls. Soon you can make out dusty alcoves filled with crumbling armor and junk behind the tapestries. To your amazement, you hear voices coming from behind a bend in the corridor in front of you. Whoever is speaking are coming towards you. You want to extinguish your light and hide in one of the alcoves, or will you advance boldly down the corridor? Yeah, let's go with the first one, since nobody can be trusted. You snap out your torch and slide behind one of the decaying tapestries on the wall, almost choking on the cloud of dust you disturb. Peering through a hole in the tapestry, you see two tomb robbers walking down the corridor towards you. They are naked except for turbans and loincloths. They are jabbering away in an excited fashion to one another. Both of them are staring up at a rope that one of them is holding in its hands. The rope stands up perpendicularly, and the person grasping it is having some difficulty in holding it down. Do you want to leap out and make a surprise attack on them, or if you will prefer to let them pass down the corridor? The magical rope. You know I like my ropes, they are always killing us. She'll attack them and take their magical rope. You leap out of the alcove with a hoarse scream, yeah, just to call out our position. One of the tomb robbers is so surprised that he doesn't react before you cut him down. His comrade, however, pulls out his sword, and you're soon in a tense battle. With a tomb robber, Vigor 12. Quite a standard fight. Except he has 3 more HP than an assassin. 11, that's a good roll. You hit the tomb robber because he's wearing no armor. He takes 4 points of damage. Oh, nice. So it's a 3-hit guy anyway. Then again, second hit. And yeah, the third one, he's dead. No damage to us. Great thing. The fight. So far we're kind of good with our vigor points. Alright, we skipped the fight, but anyway, kind of sketchy. The tomb robber lies dead at your feet. The rope still hangs in the air. When you tug at it, it feels extremely firm, as if it will be possible to climb up the rope. The tomb robbers have apparently slain its owner somewhere ahead of you. In the underworld, you remember one of them saying to his companion that the man who had the rope had been playing a flute when they killed him. If you want to take the rope with you, mark it down as magical rope. And we can remove the 2 potions of swiftness as well. Turning left, you see sunlight ahead of you. Eventually, you come to a granite-walled room illuminated by a single shaft of sunlight coming from a hole in the ceiling high above you. The beam of light rests on a granite plinth. You see the sparkle of gold from the plinth, and moving closer, you see a golden goblet full of ruby-colored wine, a number of golden apples, and a sun-shaped medallion hanging from one of the handles of the goblet. Despite the color of the apples, the food and drink seem extremely attractive to you, as you are very thirsty and hungry by now. But we have an unending supply of water Do you want to pick up the wine and apple? If you will prefer to lift up the medallion first, or if you will rather continue down the corridor, you can see through a doorway. The book says, do you want to pick the wine and apple? And there's no paragraph option to go to. So I can't take the wine and apple. I can only lift up the medallion first or simply go my merry way. Another bug here. Maybe they cut down the wine and apple paragraph, but they forgot to remove the line here. Really bad writing. Really, really bad. I guess we can take the medallion of the goblet. I wasn't really interested into the wine and apple anyway. You lift the medallion of the goblet with the tip of your sword. As its golden reflection ceases to play on the apples in the goblet, the apples turn into writhing snakes, and the goblet into a noxious gas-filled container. You have nearly been tricked by a sorcerer's illusion left here as a trap by the ancient magicians of long ago. You leave the room through the doorway to the west. A corridor stretches ahead of you. Well, it was useless anyway. The corridor soon bends to the north again, and you walk for a while down a gaudily painted passageway. Eventually it turns at right angles to the west. Just at the angle of the corridor on the north wall, you can see that the plaster work has been chipped away at 8, leaving a small hole. If you would like to take a look through the hole, or if you prefer to continue down the corridor to the west. Sure. Let's take a look. You stand on tiptoe and peer into the darkness beyond the hole, the only illumination being the light from the torch you are holding. In the glint of the torchlight, you can see piles of furniture covered with gold-leaf chariot wheels, ancient carved statues, and a golden coffin. In the shadows, there are 2 golden scorpions, and just below you, in an open casket, you can see a beautiful gleaming stone in the shape of an eye. It sparkles magnificently in the light of the torch. Do you want to crawl through into the room? Or if you prefer to continue down the corridor? I think we could go check. I'm sure it's dangerous though. Where did it talk about the scorpion outside of the images on the left? Yeah, 2 golden scorpions. Oh, okay, you're right. Yeah, well, anyway. Time to be poisoned, even if it's not real scorpions. You wriggle through the narrow gap and drop down into the master room. You manage to avoid tripping over the piles of junk at your feet, and reach out your hand to pick up the beautiful gleaming eye in the casket. Suddenly you hear a strange metallic clacking sound. Looking up, you see that one of the scorpions has come to life, its pincers extended towards you. You cannot flee his combat. Mechanical Scorpion, Vigor 12. In this case, we need to roll 7 or more, but if we score a 12, it's kind of a critical hit and it simply kills the scorpion right away. 7. First hit, but we can only do a 2 Vigor point. Ooh, 2 damage to the scorpion, so that means 6 hit scorpion. Hit number 2. 3, 4. Nope, that's one's a miss. We lost 3 Vigor. 5. And here's the last one. The scorpion is destroyed. And we lost only 3 vigor points. Well, at least the combats are going well. You pick up the eye gingerly. Suddenly you experience a strange feeling of dislocation. The crystal eye has come alive, and you can see through it even though you are holding it in the palm of your hand. You experiment a bit, and find that the crystal operates as a third eye. You can use it to look up, sideways, behind you, or any other way while your own eyes are looking in a different direction. In addition to the eye, you find a tumbler with a dice in it. All its sides are marked with 6 dots. Note this down in your character sheet if you like to take it. So we have the crystal eye and a tumbler with dice. With only 6 on his faces, I guess. Where do you want to put the eye? Do you want to fasten it to the front of your cloak? Or to the back of your cloak? Sounds more clever to the back. Or do you want to drop it into your backpack? Better to the back of the cloak, so we can see behind us. You find to your delight that you can now see behind you. Nothing is going to surprise you by sneaking up on you now. Make a note in your character sheet that you're wearing the magical eye on the back of your cloak. Yeah, okay. So magical eye instead of crystal eye on back of cloak. You crawl back through the hole in the wall and turn to your right down the corridor leading to the west. A little further down the corridor, you see a section that has a number of deep recessed niches on either side of it. These niches contain statues representing the various gods of Kem. You recognize the jackal-headed god and various other deities with animal features. Statues stand on low plinths with designs etched onto the face of them. There are 2 empty niches. Stooping down, you discover that one of them is devoted to the demon boss, the Bone Cracker. To your surprise, you see that the design on front of the plinth shows the demon exchanging gifts with a man dressed in the tall hat and holding the crook and mitre of the Pharaoh of Kem. The other plinth is dedicated to the demon Hippo, a snake deity represented by a coiled, shadowy serpent. It is wound round a man dressed in the same fashion as in the design on front of the bow's plinth. If you would like to step on to the plinth dedicated to the demon boss, or if you would like to step onto the plinth dedicated to the demon Hippo, or if you will prefer to continue down a passage to the west. I'm not sure about the plinth of Hippo. Sounds like I'm going to die in a serpent coil. Maybe we could try bows. Oh, sounds maybe bad. The corridor starts to spin and everything becomes cloudy in your mind. You feel yourself being conveyed somewhere magically. Going to see bows. You find yourself not in the alcove anymore, but in a large chamber with etched reliefs along its wall and an altar in the center. There are 2 sets of locked doors at either end of the room. You're trapped. If you once had an urn that an old man asked you to carry for him but no longer have it, if you still have the urn, if you have never had the urn. So we didn't have this urn. You decide that you will never escape from this room unless you make some kind of sacrifice on the altar. Do you have any of the following items? A magical rope, an ornate flute, a crystal eye, or a key? Yeah, we do have some of this stuff. Placing one of the items on the altar, you experience a sudden dizziness and the room starts to spin out. You are magically transported. I need to give either the rope or the magical eye. I guess we can live without the eye. Even if it's cool. I mean, magical eye or a magical rope. The first time we have a rope that is magical, maybe it's better than a non-magical one. We'll die faster. You find yourself in the middle of a room, the floor of which is covered with 1 meter high sculpted figures. The figures are of warriors and servants. You are hemmed in by them on all sides, and it will be impossible to step through them without knocking them over. There is a rectangular door made of burnished bronze with intricate patterns carved on it right in front of you. There is a small cleared area just in front of it. It looks like it might be possible to jump over to the clearing without disturbing any of the figures. You want to risk jumping for the door, or you may prefer to use an item on the other hand. There's a floor of 1 meter. Sounds like just the right place to use a potion of levitation that levitates up to 1 meter. Have you got either an unused flying carpet or a potion of levitation? Let's go with the potion of levitation since it's a small gap. You drink the potion and drift 1 meter up into the air. You move forward just over the top of the sculpted figures and land in the clear space next to the door. Easy as that. You push open the heavy door in front of you and enter an ancient banqueting hall. You bar the door behind you and go and inspect the table. Hundreds of years ago it must have been set for a banquet. Crockery and wooden spoons and forks are laid out in front of ornate seats. Unfortunately, the food laid out on serving dishes and in fruit bowls has all withered. So there is no longer anything but a few dried husks. Your stomach is beginning to crave for food. Do you have a gold medallion? Do we have that? It's the one that we lifted from the goblet, but the book didn't told us to take it. I think we can say that we have the gold medallion. So vague. You pull out the medallion. Perhaps if it created illusions of food before, it will help you eat the food on the table. Sure enough. The minute you place it on the table, the dust-choked goblets seem to fill with wine. The blackened carcasses and plates become freshly grilled chickens, and the shriveled husks in the fruit bowls become grapes, apples, and freshly picked oranges. You eat and drink your fill. Restore 6 vigor points. Yeah, we're back to full health. After you have eaten, you can continue. I guess that was the correct medallion. Just add the medallion there, so don't forget it later down the road. Leaving the banqueting hall, you move into a bathroom covered with intricately painted tiles. You can see an exit at the other side of the room. There is a huge pool filled with water in the center of the room. Steps lead down into it and a curious green light seems to burn at the bottom of it. Looking in, you see the symbol of the Pharaoh carved on the pool's stone bottom. Will you like to wade into the pool? Or will you prefer to continue ignoring the pool? So far we tried lots of stuff and it went well. The water is cool and refreshing. As you soak in it, you feel all your wounds healing and your aches disappear as if a soothing balm had been applied to your skin. Your vigor is restored to its normal score. So we had 2 paragraphs back to back hitting us. What's the purpose of the first one if we're going to full shape there? I know we can go past it, but I've just been ill twice in a row. It's really useless. So, after relaxing in the water a bit longer, you step out of the pool and continue on your way. You find yourself in a vast hall. Stone rafters support a massive ceiling. A single ray of sunlight descends from some outlet hundreds of feet above you. At the far end of the hall, you can see a ramp ascending a granite slope to a platform in the side of the wall. You can see an open entrance at the top of the ramp. There are 2 doorways on either side of the platform just before the sloping wall. The floor of the chamber has a number of small holes drilled into it. You prod the floor with your sword. Suddenly there is a savage hissing sound, and a deadly dark asp spitting venom wriggles out of a hole and across the floor towards you. You crush it with your heel in revulsion. You realize that every time pressure is exerted on the floor near a hole, these asps will spring up. To reach your goal, you are going to have to cross the hole. You may either risk running across it, hoping that not too many asps will appear, or you could use an item. Let's see the items that are available. Potion of levitation, flying carpet. Well, there's a 1-hour flying carpet, so I guess we'll use it for only a couple of minutes. Yeah, right. It's logical. We won't waste our flying carpet with only that. You take out a flying carpet and stand on it. You drift gently over the treading holes in the floor of the hall, landing safely on the other side. To your disgust, you notice that a thread of the carpet gets snagged on the other side of the hole, and the carpet is almost totally unraveled. It is now useless. Oh, seriously, that's how they kill the carpet. Alright. It was useless to tell us that it had 1 hour left of flying time. Start to ascend the ramp. Suddenly you hear a whistling noise that at first reminds you of the sound of wind blowing over the desert. The noise increases in intensity, becoming a high-pitched whine. You look up to the top of the ramp. There, enveloped in a cloud of coiling shadow and driving sand, stands a huge serpent, rearing its head to the ceiling. Its darting tongue stretches 2 meters. You recognize it as Hippo, the coiled shadowy horror. It starts slithering down the ramp towards you in intricate loops. This is going to be the toughest fight you have ever faced. Do you have the magical staff? We don't. Damn. Sounds bad. The demon hurtles towards you, its supernatural shadows coiling around its scaly black flank. You're going to have to be very lucky to survive this encounter. Yeah, thank you for the warning. Hippo, the coiled shadowy aurora. 24 vigor points. We need to roll 8 or more, and he damages us way more than we can damage it. See how it goes. That's 4 vigor lost. 0 to 4. That's fail. 0 to 8. Success. 3, 8. Fail. 3, 12. Fail. 3, 16. Success. 6 against 16. Fail. 6, 20. Success. No special thing for a critical. So that's 9, 20. Success 12, 20. 15, 20. That's a fail. 15, 24. 18, 24. 21, 24. 21, 28. Last roll. Dead. Ah, damn. That was a really close fight. Damn. Can we go back? Take another option. Seems like we need to go through there. Magical staff. We don't have a magical staff. 28. The carpet. I don't think we have any other option if we don't take the carpet. Let's go over the holes. We're going to be beaten. Yeah, it ends on the same paragraph. We have no other choice than go through the fight as if we won, since there's no other bad way. Let's say that the last roll was a good one. Here. Nope. Maybe that one. Yeah. With 2 other rolls, we're fine. So it's a victory between quotation marks. Not sure what we do with our HP though. Let's say we have 1 and see how it goes. But in actuality we should have full health. We'll see. Your final blow slices through the scaly carcass of the demon, and suddenly it is no longer there. You hear a low whistling noise, quite similar to the one you heard when it arrived, receding into the distance. There is no trace of the body of the demon. Wearily, you start to climb up the ramp to the platform. At the top of the ramp, there is a hollow altar stone. Looking into it, you see a nest of writhing snakes surrounding a lever set into the stone. A narrow passageway ascends deeply in front of you. There are arched exits to either end of the platform. You want to see if you can reach the lever amongst the snakes, or if you would like to go up the steep ascending passageway in front of you, or if you would like to go through the right-hand archway or through the left-hand archway. Yeah, lever among the snakes sounds like a good idea. But it sounds like the thing to do though. Oh yeah, right. I forgot about that. Do you have the snake-proof gloves? Yes. We really had to buy all the shit of the merchant at the beginning. You slip the gloved hand into the mass of snakes and grab the lever, yanking it up sharply. You then go up the steeply sloping corridor in front of you and enter the large audience chamber. There is a throne set against the wall to the north of the chamber. An old man with a withered face, wearing the mitre hat of the Pharaoh of Chem, sits on it under a huge stylized sun ornament set into the wall. The Pharaoh gestures at you to approach him, and you do so. He looks at you for a moment, then opens his bloodless lips. Many men have tried to enter my tomb. Only a few have reached his room, he says. As a consequence, I will grant you 2 gifts, for you have shown courage in getting so far. He points to the floor and a golden table appears, laden with costly goods. On it you can see a gleaming sword, a scepter shaped like a blazing golden sun, and a missing half of the stone tablet that you brought with you from your homeland in the north. Carved in the stone is a scepter, similar to the one lying on the table. Which of the items will you take? If you want to take the sword and a scepter, the sword and a stone, or the scepter and a stone. Right. Sounds like, well, the quest was kind of finding the other half of the stone, so it feels bad to not take the stone. And since there's a scepter on the stone tablet, I guess it will be wise to take the scepter along with the stone. You pick up the scepter and the half of the stone tablet. You fit the stone fragment to the bit you already have. They're a perfect match. You hold the scepter up, admiring it in the torchlight, then it suddenly vanishes into thin air. You notice that the ghost of the Pharaoh too has disappeared, as has the table with a sword on it. Suddenly the gold ornament over the throne swings back, revealing a secret passageway. Kind of strange. You duck under the low stone portal in front of you, finding yourself in a low corridor covered with finely painted hieroglyphics. There is an opening at the end of the corridor from which comes a golden radiance. You realize you are on the threshold of the tomb of Kharfoud the Mighty, the lost Pharaoh. Stooping, you walk down to the end of the passageway and look into the burial chamber. The tomb chamber is a stunning sight. Its walls are covered in gold leaf, the glare from which in your torchlight is almost blinding. Mounds of jewels and ornaments lie stacked in lacquered boxes around the floor. Gorgeous circlets and crowns, kingly robes and gilt-framed mirrors increase the value of the whole. The treasure is surely worth more, not just a king's ransom, but the ransom of a whole dynasty of kings. There is an alcove in the wall at the far end of the chamber. An even more brilliant radiance than that given out by the rest of the room emanates from here. Approaching closer, you see a golden coffin with a linen-wrapped mummy living inside it. The walls of the recess are close to the side of the coffin, and there is a curious overhang at the level of the top of the coffin. Looking closely, you can see many fragments of human bones littering the raised platform on which the coffin rests. Some of the bone fragments are now no more than powder, having been apparently ground to dust. There is a high step up to the recess. In the front of the step is a space where a rectangular stone will fit. Over it are the symbols of the Hank and the Pharaoh's scepter. Do you want to step onto the day and inspect the coffin, or if you prefer to get out an item first? See what we can get out as an item. Do you have the 2 halves of the stone tablet engraved with the Pharaoh's symbol? Yes. You. You pull out the two halves of the stone slabs. The one showing the scepter of the Pharaoh of Kem, the other his holy symbol, the Hank. You fit them together. Together they form a rectangular block that will exactly fit the gap at the foot of the coffin recess. If you want to put the two fragments together and place them in the niche, or if you will prefer not to, step onto the dais. Yeah, sounds like the thing to do. You place the two halves of the tablet into the alcove. There is the noise of stone blocks falling away, and a blaze of light as the sun bursts through an opening that has appeared above the coffin almost blinds you. You see that the body of the Pharaoh is dissolving into a white mist as the light burns into it. The mist wreaths upward and out into the desert air. The Pharaoh's spirit has been liberated and will now drift across the sands. A beautiful jeweled scepter lies in the coffin, where his head was. You pick it up and turn back to the darkness to see if you can get hold of any more treasure. Suddenly there is a tremendous rumbling noise, and great blocks of masonry begin to fall into the room, crashing on top of the caskets and the mounds of gems. Clearly you are not going to have time to recover any more of the fantastic wealth of the tomb if you wish to survive. You quickly climb on top of the coffin and lever yourself out of the opening above you. You find yourself on top of the large hill that stood behind the smaller pyramid in the desert. You realize now that the hill was actually the vast pyramid tomb of the lost pharaoh. Suddenly the top of the sand hill begins to cave in on itself as the ancient blocks collapse beneath you. You race down the side of the dune, the masonry collapsing just a second behind you. You lose your footing and roll to the bottom, stopping abruptly as you bump into someone's legs. Looking up and squinting your eyes into the blinding desert sunlight, you see one of the grim-faced desert nomads standing over you, a vicious curved sword in one of his hands. Looking around, you see that you are surrounded by the tribesmen. Suddenly, remembering the scepter, you hold it up before their eyes. With a gasp, they step back, and to your surprise, they bow low in front of you, throwing their weapons at their feet. Within minutes, you are on a camel, and the tribesmen are leading you in triumph back to the city of Arkos. Looking back, you see a cloud of sand hanging in the air as the pyramid continues to collapse in on itself, burying forever the pharaoh's guardians and the curse of the tomb that cost so many warriors their lives. There we go, that was the curse of the pharaoh, a really buggy mess. Let's hope that the last book, 6th one of the Golden Dragon series, will be better written and better overall, I guess. So see you next time to finish the Golden Dragon series. Next week, same channel, same time.